Thank you, presenters. That was a wonderful session, informative. I learned a lot. I'm sure the audience also have learned a lot from your experiences and your journeys. Uh, before I close, I'd like to kind of, given that I represent the state of Victoria in Australia, I'd like to give a small example from the state of Victoria on how the diaspora is contributing in a small way to resolve this challenge that India is facing. Victoria, of course, is one of the smallest states in Australia, of which Melbourne is the capital. But Victoria is home to the largest Indian diaspora in Australia. And Melbourne, 3% of Melbourne's population is of Indian origin, and the numbers have actually grown threefold since 2001. So you can see the accelerated pace of the growth of the Indian diaspora. And as I mentioned earlier, the Indian diaspora tends to punch well above its weight when it comes to academic heft. And if you look at the universities in Victoria, with the 9 universities that we have, uh, Indian diaspora has a very strong presence. And one shining example of that is Professor Mohan Shetty from Monash University. Monash happens to be the largest university in Australia. He's from the School of Engineering, but specializes in mining, minerals, and metallurgy. He has been among all the other areas that he works on, he's been working on end of life mine closure and rehabilitation. It's basically closing a mine when the resources have been exhausted in a sustainable manner and returning the mine site to. He is now working, apart from the Monash faculty, he's also working with faculty from IIT Bombay and BHU Varanasi to bring some of these best practices to India. And one of his students, his name is Shashibhushan Bilyangadi, has just set up a startup in India, Tree Green Solutions, the first company in India which will go on to produce artificial soils from mining waste. I mean, the mining tailings, those dumps around mining sites, they'll actually produce artificial soils from the mining waste. And this is just one great example. And I can't even imagine, how many more examples that we can come up across. And particularly this company and the technologies that they've developed would help the mining sector because it's such a contested sector because of the ecological impact of the activities. Going back to the experts that we heard from, given the size and scale of India's challenges in this area, I'm sure we should be kind of welcoming them with open arms and bring them to India. But unfortunately, it's not always that straightforward or easy. It's a complex country. The solutions are not easy. The problems are complex. What these startups or companies actually need is market access. I mean, it's not so much access to funding or mentoring because that's quite available. What is very important is access to the market. And in India, the market here is actually the civic bodies, the government agencies. And all of us know it's not actually always easy to kind of work with government agencies. They're not always open to working with the private sector or open to innovation. We need to enable these companies to engage with the public sector in India and giving them a fair chance. And that's because waste management sector still is dominated by the public sector, and we still have very minimal private sector participation. What is important for them is to have those civic bodies which can listen to them, is willing to open up their resources, their data, their systems for innovations and disruptions from these companies. Um, with this, we come to the close of this session. I thank all the presenters. I thank India's International Science Festival, as well as Benisha for a very engaging session. I understand that Benisha will make some closing remarks on the portal that they're setting up, which I think is a very good beginning, and I'm sure we can actually grow that the engagement from there on. Thanks a lot. I learned a lot, and I hope all of you did too. Thank you.
Thank you, Gopi Shankar, for being the chairperson and conducting this session really well. You're also representing Australia and the UK. Now, we are not going to end this engagement with the diaspora with just this session. Because we are going to take this forward, as the chairperson already mentioned. We would be, having similar kind of conferences or virtual meetings in the portal, because we have a separate section called International Case Studies, and this is where we would have engagement of diaspora. So we are already taking this aspect forward. And also we are going to be a bridge between the government, the municipal corporations, the local bodies. So what you were mentioning, that there is already a problem. I mean, always whenever there are entrepreneurs coming from a different country, this barrier has to be broken. It takes a long time. So I hope that we would be able to bridge this gap and help the entrepreneurs or the investors to come into India and ease this problem. So with that positive note, we are coming to the end of this session. And thank you once again, both to the chairperson and all the panelists from across the world. Thank you.
Thank you.